lot of people think that the whole Osama bin Laden death is shaky and it's weird and there's a lot of funny lies and misinformation going around. I don't care. Look, if America has a secret conspiracy about 9/11, and 9/11 is used to justify oppressing Arabs or Muslims, if I was a Muslim, I would care and I'd be interested possibly in hearing about 9/11 conspiracy theory. But the fact is, Osama bin Laden dying will actually benefit most Muslims. It'll take America off the hunt. It'll give us an excuse to get out of Afghanistan and hopefully Iraq and other places sooner. So, if you think there's a conspiracy around Osama bin Laden's death, lie down. Take a nap. Let that feeling go away. Because the reality is, if there is a conspiracy, it's a conspiracy that benefits you. So just let it go. If you want to worry about something, let's talk about Bahrain. Pull off Osama bin Laden for a minute, or forever, and let's talk about Bahrain. Our ally, Bahrain, is closing down the opposition newspaper, and the top editors are going on trial. Guess what else they're doing? They are prosecuting doctors. Prosecuting doctors in Bahrain for performing operations, life-saving operations on protesters. That is so shameful and disgusting that we, our country, could stand by with our Fifth Fleet, our Navy there, with our allies right there as we deny them freedom, as we shut down their newspapers and prosecute the editors, and then prosecute doctors for saving the lives of protesters who have been injured.
Well, that was, as we said, an American activist speaking on Bahrain. Well, I'm now joined on the line from Minneapolis by Professor William Beeman, who is with the University of Minnesota. And I'm also joined on the line from Berkeley, California, by Mr. Ralph Schoenman, who is a political commentator. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining our broadcast here on PressTV. Mr. Schoenman, I'd like to start with you, if I may. You know, Bahrain's now extended the state of national safety, I believe it's called, and has also, although there are 6 weeks left to this original state of national safety, and has, as the soundbite just mentioned, has arrested 47 doctors and nurses and is going to try them in a military court. How do you assess this current situation in Bahrain? How bad or good does this look?
Well, let me say that I want to speak very strongly on that question, but I feel obligated to say the following. The speaker who you just played on air with his references to Osama bin Laden is speaking nonsense. Osama bin Laden was reported by Fox News and by CNN on the 26th of December 2001, the report of his death and the funeral that was held with the witnesses who were there, 30 al-Qaeda fighters, the Taliban representatives. Bin Laden is not alive and was not killed in this particular instance, and in any event had zero to do with the events of September 11th, as he articulated in great detail in Ummat, the publication of the Islamic movement in Karachi, the third largest Urdu language paper. I've spoken to its editor, Rafiq Afghan. I've been there. This is nonsense. But that's not the context in which to look at this vicious, dictatorial al-Khalifa regime. The Wall Street Journal World News headline, Bahrain to put medical staff on trial. Government targets doctors and nurses who treated anti-government protesters. Bahrain plans to try in a military court 50 doctors and nurses who treated anti-government protesters during months of unrest, broadening the ruling of al-Khalifa family's crackdown on Shia opposition supporters. The Bahrain Justice Ministry confirmed that 23 doctors and 24 nurses will be brought to trial on charges including attempts to topple the kingdom, the Sunni monarchy, and taking part in illegal rallies. It's a long and detailed article, and in that context, I would like to call to your attention a rather dramatic development, the consequence of great efforts on the part of many of us to mobilize the trade union movement around the world. The president of the AFL-CIO has called upon Obama to enforce free trade agreement requirements in Bahrain, and they have filed a lawsuit to expel Bahrain from the free trade agreement because of its descent into vicious dictatorship. citing numerous documented violations, and noting that the General Federation of Bahraini Trade Unions represents all workers in the kingdom. The AFL-CIO has stated that the leaders of the GFBTU affiliates have suffered retaliation for their trade union activity. 9 executive members of the Arab Shipbuilding and Repair Yard have been dismissed. Bahrain Natural Gas has fired the entire executive committee of the union. The Bahrain Petroleum Company fired its trade union chairman and the founder of the trade union movement in Bahrain. Rula Al-Safar, the president of the Bahrain Nursing Society, has been detained and her whereabouts are unknown. The vice president and 4 board members of the Bahrain Teachers Association were arrested, and the general secretary as well, and they continue to be held incommunicado. It is a dramatic statement, and President Richard Trump states in a letter to Secretary of Defense Gates, "We call for urgent political intervention to stop and prevent Bahrain's descent into dictatorship. The trade union movement in Bahrain is critical to a democratic and peaceful coexistence in a pluralistic society. Your department must demand of its counterparts an end to this extraordinary repression taking place at the doorstep of America's largest military installation, the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet. Any lesser response to this crisis undermines your government's moral authority."